This is finally it after all these speculations, not even a clickbait. Blizzard just came out with a brand new 10.2 interview and they said that a world revamp of Azeroth is very likely happening in the future and they're figuring out how to make it right. All this is in regards to WoW's 20th anniversary, which is next year, and they said they don't want to delete all zones like they did in Cataclysm. However, with 10.2 we have also datamined a ton of new assets that are continuing the soft revamp we've seen. We got brand new ship models, Night Elven assets probably related to the new Night Elven city coming soon. We got new Blood Elven assets probably related to the new Blood Elven customization. We got a ton of new event assets, darkmoon, faire, midsummer, and this is only a small portion of the new stuff we have just discovered. So what is all this new 10.2 info? How is Blizzard going to pull off the revamp of Azeroth, and what have we discovered so far in the 10.2 PTR? 10.1.7 was just released, and there is no better way to prepare yourself than U.GG, the most straightforward way to optimize your WoW experience. With U.GG you can discover tier lists to see what classes perform best as DPS, healers, tanks, and this isn't only for raiding but for Mythic Plus and for PvP, and best of all, this is all based on the precise data from the very best of WoW players across a large sample, so just straight out data. Even more importantly, you can find the best builds for your class. For example, as I play a Fury Warrior and have done so for over a decade, I can find the best performing build for the new patch, the most optimal gear, enchants, gems, trinkets, and best of all, it is super straightforward and a very easy to get used to UI. So make sure to click my link in the description, check out U.GG, and optimize your performance for 10.1.7 completely free. Finally, after all this time, as I made so many videos on this topic, we are moving into confirmation theory. This isn't exactly 100% confirmed to come for the next patch, but let's just say we're one step before that and we could be looking at the biggest revamp in all of WoW history, or at least as close as Cataclysm back in the day. Keep in mind, I'm not just talking about we got 2 new assets, so it could be likely, potentially happening. We literally got an interview from a lead Blizzard guy that said that they are looking into a revamp and seeing how it could all play out and how they could do something similar to the Cataclysm update without deleting the old zones by seeking modern solutions. To make this even a lot more interesting, as 10.2 PTR is out, we have discovered a ton of new assets, brand new, which is signifying a revamp as well, and I'm talking about a ton that completely continue on the previous theory. If you haven't watched the previous videos, it became really apparent even back in Shadowlands, but specifically in Dragonflight, that Blizzard is doing this sort of soft revamp, this gradual revamp of sorts. If you have been following the data mining and the PTR stuff of every single minor and major patch of this expansion, you might have noticed that they started making all these minor changes all the time, and most of the times these changes had absolutely nothing to do with what was currently relevant in the game, what was going on with the main storyline. So for example, they updated the Ironforge city guards, updated the siege engines outside of Ironforge, even though Ironforge is not relevant whatsoever. They added all these leaning, cooking, sitting animations that are not related to anything major in Dragonflight. They updated the player skeletons. On top of that, they have been making all these assets from modular human and orc buildings to Blood Elven and Night Elven stuff all the time. Some are in Dragonflight, some still aren't. There are new ship models, there are new little items you could find lying on the table. This archive has been building up all the time and it is constantly expanding every single update, like a backlog of assets that sometimes they actually add into the game, but usually they're actually in the background. So for us that have been following these details, it became quite obvious that Blizzard is just slowly updating things, revamping and slowly updating the old world. For example, every expansion they're updating the various NPC models, beasts in various forms. We got Warlock mask customization, we got new Furbolg, Centaur models, we got new wolves, bears and all sorts of animals that are also being updated in the old world as well, not just the current zones and what is currently relevant in the new expansion. Furthermore, every single patch we're getting new player customizations, from eye colors to scars to hairstyles, making everything a lot more up to date and up to 2024 standards. 10.1.7 was absolutely no different. You might have followed the recent Blizzard video where they decided to update all the fog settings in the old zones. They showed us like the behind the scenes, which was all related to dragon riding. Keep in mind, in the new 10.2 PTR news, they just announced that we'll be going to pretty much all the zones from Alten to the Broken Isles with dragon riding next year, which means that they will implement these changes to these zones as well, which should get the updated fogs. If you noticed with the video, they essentially removed the fog in the distance, made the zone look a lot more visually updated and up to date, and this has all pretty much been happening now in this new patch. However, with 10.2 these changes are doubling down, and I'm 100% certain we're in for a revamp in the very near future. So you might have noticed that, for example, they really started updating the regular events. We got the new Winter Veil assets, we got the updates for the Headless Horseman, and now in 10.2 we have just datamined brand new Darkmoon Fair tints, which look amazing. We have also datamined a ton of new Midsummer Festival assets from flags and tents, and not just Midsummer, we have found new assets for Brewfest and Hallow's End as well in the 10.2 PTR. However, this is literally only the beginning of the new stuff. We're getting new Blood Elven customization in 10.2, and probably related to that, we have discovered a bunch of brand new Blood Elven assets from shoulders to various armor sets, which I gotta say, when combined with the ships and the various little things we had previously discovered, it could be signifying a potential Silver Moon revamp, which is literally the update everyone is looking for, as that entire city is in such a sad state, like stuck in like 2007. Now, other than this, in the new patch, we got new ship models, which are also looking amazing, from the Alliance Lion ones to regular ships that now really look up to date. And similar to Unforged stuff, we got a brand new steam engine model, we got a new Plague Thrower and a new Orc Demolisher, which is also looking super interesting. Other than this, we're getting new Moonkin customizations, which is also looking excellent, and all of this is related to the general revamp, from the druid forms to new pet models that have been happening all the time. Most interestingly, we have discovered a ton of brand new Night Elven assets, which I think may just be the biggest hint yet. We have discovered a new Night Elven themed backpack, as well as a tent, amongst other features. I'm aware this is all related to the Emerald Dream, the new 10.2 zone, but keep in mind the actual context to what is happening in this new patch. We know the Emerald Dream is where Amirdrasil is, the new world tree that we had just planted, and they just told us in the official interview that what is going on, the tree is supposed to pass from the dream into Azeroth to become a new Night Elven home. The entire story of 10.2 is us stopping Farak from interrupting that process. As well as certain we will succeed in this, it probably means that the tree will eventually pass, probably into the Nearan Plains, and we're going to get brand new Night Elven city that will finally give them some closure, and some of these assets are probably meant for that, which means we could be in for a big new major city. However, these are hints, little hints, but let's get into the biggest hint in probably all of WoW history, and that is a brand new official interview where they all but confirmed that a revamp is happening. Before we get into it, you might have noticed that a guy on Twitter posted about going back to old Azeroth, not wanting pirates, and the CEO of Blizzard debunked the pirate theory, and he also, interesting enough, debunked the pirate theory in the new interview to just double down that pirates won't be happening. However, the CEO of Blizzard decided to reply to this tweet out of all the 11.0 leaked tweets, and just him talking about it, us going back to old Azeroth, Kandor, and Eastern Kingdoms, could really be a setup for what could be revealed in the future. I honestly think they have something planned behind the scenes. So we got a GameSpot interview with the lead Blizzard guy where he was asked about an old world revamp, as it is obviously a popular thing in the community requests, and he essentially said that this is something that is likely to happen in the future. Keep in mind, this was said in the context of 2024 20th Blizzard anniversary, where it would just be a perfect time to implement such a major change. He said this: "We're definitely open to it at some point, but if we take a step back and think about WoW as an ongoing living world, we drove ourselves into a corner by having all these iconic locations, but we can't really use them because they have already been used." Now, if you're a little bit confused, they talked about this in regards to doing a new Cataclysm style major revamp and how they learned a lesson from that. The main problem was that the Cataclysm had reshaped the world, and they had to delete parts of the original World of Warcraft that a lot of people didn't really like. So for example, you could never really experience the original balance in detail, you would only know the Cataclysm altered version. The idea that they're talking about, they want to use modern solutions to preserve the existing pieces of the game if this revamp is to happen. Honestly, to me, this means that we could be in for some type of a phasing scenario, or potentially something to do with the Bronze Dragon fight and time travel, where if you want to play the old world, you would be in some sort of a time travel simulation where you could still experience everything, but the new zones would be like the up-to-date lore, like what is actually going on Azeroth. I gotta say, all of this, how it would happen would have to be expansion based. There would be no point in updating Kalimdor and the Eastern Kingdoms, just switching up all the assets, going through an insane amount of work if we really have no reasons to go to these zones other than the leveling we've already played through. This means that the next expansion would have to be based around exploring the old world and doing something relevant to this. Honestly, this is definitely possible. It could be done through various questlines, even if the expansion isn't fully based in all the zones. For example, with the new Night Elven Heritage, we went to Felwood, so they really missed the opportunity there to change some things up, but realistically, we could have something like this happen. Additionally, we might not need a huge revamp of everything just out at once. We could get a revamp of a zone every single mini-patch, like some of these features they have been adding in Dragonflight. So, for example, how they're adding the Blood Elven customization in 10.2, we could get updated Silvermoon, or for example, how we got the new Forsaken storyline, we could have gotten an updated Undercity related to that questline. All in all, though, speculation aside, new assets are here, they're in the game, they are constantly being revealed. The new interviews here, they're talking in regards to the next year, how an old world revamp is something that is likely to happen with lessons learned from the Cataclysm. So let's just say big things may be coming to WoW, and we are in for potentially some of the most exciting announcements we've had in over a decade in regards to this game. Thank you for watching. Check out a possible Nerubian playable race by clicking on the screen, and check out my video on Slavic pirates and real world history by clicking on the screen. See you next time.